children and live her life. And she's like, I would never change that. And her an African American family, and she was just like, this is what I'm gonna do. Like, she just felt convicted, as you did. Like, God spoke to her and said, this is what I know. We're not talking about religion and politics. True. But she was spoken to, and she was moved to do that, and then have the support of her family to donate to someone who wasn't in her family, but she did it. And her life is just so much better for it. And those are the stories that I want us to tell and to get out, because, my goodness, as I said, there's most of the people on the waiting list for organ transplants are people waiting for kidneys. And if more people said, you know what, I'm going to take that step and I'm going to get tested and see if I can help someone I know, or someone that I don't know.
Right.
Do you know, like, we would wipe out that list.
These are people who are waiting to live.
Waiting to live.
Waiting to live. Can you imagine being someone who's waiting to live? Think about that.
Not long ago, people were waiting for Popeye chicken sandwiches.
I know.
And there are people waiting to live.
Right?
Yeah.
I waited for mine.
Oh my God.
And it wasn't that great.
Over.
I'm gonna tell you all right now, it wasn't that great.
They ain't sponsoring us, but Chick-fil-A. I'm with you, baby.
No, that was But, like, and so, Gus, let me ask, do you know anyone who's been impacted by transplant in your life, who's gotten a kidney transplant or another organ transplant?
I have nothing.
He knows one.
Well, you, Los. What about you?
No, I think my grandfather got, he had heart surgery and he got valves. Heart valves.
So that's
a donation.
That's a tissue donation, and that's one that it often gets overlooked. And that, again, I appreciate this platform, because tissue donation helps so many people. As I mentioned, Carson Palmer, like athletes who have injuries, people who have spinal cord injuries.
Well, veterans.
Dental procedures.
A lot of veterans that have injuries that, require those kinds, and a lot of soft tissue.
Soft tissue. But here's the other thing about veterans, that now, like, medicine has just it has moved forward at such a pace that now we are doing limb replacements. Like, people who come back from war and have lost limbs, like, we are doing that. That's happening.
Wow.
Face transplants are happening. They're
rare.
rare.
It's a big deal for burn victims.
But those things are happening, and that's the
Shriners Institute.
Institute, and that's the beautiful part of medicine, that in medicine in the United States, we are doing so many amazing things to help people thrive and continue to live, but we don't. Hey, Blue. But we don't. Blue was like, yes, that's right. Thank you, Blue. But, like, those are the things that, like, we need to talk about that we don't talk about, because it may be a scary thing or an unknown, but this technology is saving people's lives.
But if we don't put ourselves in the game.
Correct. You got to get in the game, and you can't sit back and say, hey, not me. I'm not going to do this. Like, we gotta break through all of that. And I know there's been, so much discussion around race and those things in the last few years, just things that have come up as a society, but that has also kind of propelled this topic. Like, we got to be in this together, people. True. That's how we move through this.
So I'll tell you what you do.
That's a bit of a theme too with this show, guys.
Right.
I think you've brought that up several times. Right, we're all in this together.
Yeah,
indeed.
Like you said, we're not getting out of here alive.
We're not getting out of here alive.
Let's spread the knowledge.
The great architect will bring us up.
Yeah,
that's it.
So I'll tell you what you do. What you do is you get up early in the morning, and you have yourself a cup of Q&A coffee, which helps to improve your mental endurance and focus. Has a superior taste. Q&A coffee is for thinkers like Gus and I, and apparently Andy at the table and the Colonel. Q&A coffee is for thinkers. Let's make some time for Q&A. You can find them at QAcoffee.com. That's the letter Q, letter A.com.
I'm going to try this coffee.
It's delicious.
Get your bag.
Yeah.
I'm a big coffee
You on the end now.
Oh, my God.
Oh,
you on the end
Andy.
now.
I drink. I mean, I'm on my third bag.
So I'm going to ask this question. This might be a bad question, because I don't know.
No such thing.
Wait a minute. Are there K-cups?
Yeah, no. But here's what I did, Andy.
You can get now. You can get yes. I have my Keurig, and I yes.
I bought those, and I put that stuff in there, and it comes out gangbusters.
The other
it's good.
thing is they're actually a healthy thinking coffee company. So
I'm all for it.
They have Calm, which helps you with Calm.
Yes.
They have Thinker. You know what I mean? Q&A does it.
It's good. I mean,
I'm gonna get my Q&A.
Well, we're gonna give you a bag.
Thank you.
We're gonna give you a bag,
and I will take it back to the office, and we will use it. And
it's delicious. I mean, I think it's the best tasting coffee I've ever had.
Seriously?
Oh yeah, I've had a lot of coffee.
Drinking it faithfully.
Yeah, it is superb coffee.
Oh,
Starbucks. If it was crap, he'd tell you. He'd tell you.
Yeah, I would tell you.
He would have his opinion no matter what.
I love it.
I don't know what they're.
I know he would.
I don't know what
sponsor Gus Los, so he'd be like, guys,
it sucks. Well, I would be quiet for our advertiser, but you wouldn't hear these ringing endorsements.
Look on his face.
Yeah, I'm like, yeah.
Not for Q&A coffee,
but not for Q&A. No way.
Not for Q&A.
So not long ago, I had a conversation. Backstory: had a cousin, diabetic, wasn't taking his meds, didn't make those changes he should have made.
Right.
So you know how it goes. Take a toe, take another toe, take a foot.
But that's my struggle with that, Gus. Why?
And it goes back to I don't know.
Why?
Just ignorant. I ain't gonna say ignorant. I'm not gonna say ignorant.
It's not that.
But the conversation went like this. So as he got worse, cousin of mine, dear cousin of mine, he reached out. Hey, needs you to pray for cousin Ricky. I'm like, because he's going through some complications. I'm like, look, I'm not praying for cousin Ricky. He's not doing what he's supposed to do.
There's personal responsibility.
His wife has been crying because she's watching him deteriorate from the man she married to the man he is now. He's not taking his meds. He didn't change his diet. He didn't do anything. He's dead. It's like, I'm not praying for that.
Well, until it gets serious, it's the silent killer too, right?
Well, and I think too, again, as an African American, the African Americans, I think sometimes there's this feeling like we're tired. We're tired. We fight every day because of X, Y, and Z in the past. So we're just fighting to get to here. Because not all of us are here. There are these barriers, these obstacles that we've been up against for so long. And I think with COVID and George Floyd and all those things, like these things have really surfaced and people are having conversations.
To add to that, if an individual doesn't do what he's supposed to do, to have a certain quality life. At 50, I mean, like I said, when I was diagnosed at 20, made some changes. At 50, I'm like, I'm not trying to slip by any bad choice that I made. Now, bad choices, whether it's, this is as worse as it's going to get for me. Smoking a cigar, having some wine, maybe some bourbon. I'm not going to complicate things by not doing those things I know I should be doing.
And
having a good diet,
but
being active.
I think you're in the minority, and I asked this question. I'm posing this question. Why don't we care enough about our health and to do what we need to do?
Change is hard.
It is hard, and there's some conditioning there, but we have to realize our lives matter.
Mm-hmm. That's true.
We are a part of this fabric. We got it, and just not doing anything is not an option.
Maybe they need some honest kids like I got, because my 13-year-old is getting ready to be 14. When I turned 50, my 13-year-old came to me and said, "Dad, do you realize?" I said, "Are you about to say something smart?" She said, "I'm about to say something smart and true."
Yes.
I said, "Okay, go ahead." She said, "Do you realize you're a half a century old?"
Well.
She said, "I know." She said, "Dad, I know everybody focuses on a century because it's 100. Oh, it's 100. She said, "But you're a half of a century." And I was just kind of like, where is this going?
You don't need to tell me that. I know,
you got one
right?
foot in the grave, brother.
I know how old I am.
She's like, I'm just saying, you're full of knowledge and things. She's like, so you need to take better care of yourself. You should know. This is my 13-year-old
Out
daughter.
of the mouths of
you
babes.
should know how. My daughter said, you should know how to take care of yourself because you're a half of a century old now. You shouldn't. She said, if you don't know how, you should be looking to see how. And she said, because I want you to see me graduate.
Because that's that younger generation lifting you up.
Oh my God.
But the reality is that there's so many people who they don't have that feeling of hope, and so they're like, why? Like, why am I going to do this?
Well,
I'll just be on dialysis forever because dialysis is not
overrated.
a way. It's not overrated. Like, that's not a way of life. You're never going to thrive.
And we all know, sitting at this table, we know 3 or 4 people.
Yes.
Who are
Say it.
diabetic.
Yep.
High blood pressure.
Yes.
Whether they've told us or not.
And that's they don't talk about it.
At this age, you're we're all in that. You know, we're on a certain category. Some friend, like our good friend Jamie.
Yeah,
you didn't.
I was gonna. Yeah.
Jamie.
I mean, high blood pressure.
He didn't have high blood pressure.
What is he up against?
Well, I wasn't gonna mention his name, but we were on a motorcycle ride, and he tipped over on his bike, broke his leg. We didn't know it at the time he'd broken his leg. But we got to another location, and he was exhibiting symptoms of what looked like heat exhaustion. You know, he was, kind of sweaty and a little pale, and he was vomiting. And so, we kept asking him, did you do this? Did you do that? And then finally, the rest of the group rode on, and I started probing. I stayed with him, and I started really trying to dig into what was going on. And I said, well, what did they test you for in the ambulance? Oh, well, they took my blood sugar. And I thought, well, that's kind of weird. Why would they? Well, I said, well, what was the reading? And he's like, oh, it was 300 something. And his wife was like, no, it was 600.
Oh,
and I was like, okay, that changes everything.
Yeah.
But nobody, he's been riding with this group for 10 or 15 years. I've known him for at least 10 years. He'd been coming to the man cave regularly on Thursdays, and nobody knew he was diabetic. Nobody. And, it really, he went to the hospital and they released him, and on his way home he had a stroke.
Oh my gosh.
So
how is Jamie doing now?
I mean, he's still impacted by the stroke. He can't walk the same, and his speech is not as strong as it used to be.
But his spirit is strong.
Oh yeah, I mean, he's.
But how crazy is it? We get our cars tuned up.
He's a younger man.
We take care of our lawn.
Younger than me,
but we will not go to the doctor to see what's going on.
And why is that? As men,
it's backwards. It's
so
backwards
I'm the first lady on the show.
It's the mentality.
What is that?
It's just that backwards
is that we have to be strong. We can't show vulnerability.
Yes.
Because to men, for some reason or another, that exhibits strength. Show no weaknesses, and I'm sure you can understand that.
Yeah, I can.
My uncle was the same. He refused. He wouldn't go to the doctor.
Right.
Until something really.
My father as well.
Tripped him up, and then he finally had to go. And then they went through all the tests, and they're like, "Oh, you've got an aortic aneurysm. We got to operate."
Right.
I can't emphasize this enough because this is something that we see in our data. Men versus women. Women are more likely to register to be donors. Men, not so much. And I think it goes back to that. We're the head of the family. We're the strength, the rock. We're this.
Can't exhibit any weaknesses.
Cannot exhibit any weakness. But here's the thing. We need you here. We need you to go to the doctor.
Right.
We live in a country where you do have access, and you need to take all advantage of that access.
You can't be the patriarch if you're not here.
You can't be the hero if you're not here. And I can't emphasize that enough.
Can't enjoy that gushy if you're not here.
Yeah. Okay. Yes. Yes, that too. I'm a little uncomfortable, but that's okay.
Quality of life.
He didn't tell you what you was walking
Quality
into?
of life.
No, he tried to tell me, and I was like, yeah, I got it.
You should have listened to some shows, Andy.
No, because I like to go in cold. I like to go in cold.
Well, you coming out hot tonight,
I'm
baby.
going to come out hot.